Welcome to Fun is Fundamental. Fun is Fundamental is a podcast for those who realize that the enjoyment of life is about having something deep in our souls which lights our fire. It's for those who maybe have lost that fire and feel like they are missing out on the pleasures of life. In each episode, I will share recent fun activities and focus on why having fun is essential for good health. I'm your host, Alenia, and I invite you to take this journey with me and join the pleasure-seeking movement. So, yeah. How are you doing today, Carson?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Did you have a good 4th of July?
Yeah, I had a really good 4th of July. I feel like I just was not very patriotic for some reason. I dressed the 4th of July part, but I just like didn't really do any 4th of July festivities. I kind of just watched the fireworks, but like nothing else during the day. I went and I got a massage. I guess that's patriotic self-care.
Healthcare.
But yeah, no, what do you do?
Oh, we saw a movie. I mean, yeah.
I feel like there's like this idea of like, especially where I live, everyone goes up to Tahoe and you're at the lake and you're having a lake day, and it's like, but for 4th of July for us, we don't get a ton of calls. And so typically on those holidays where we're not getting a lot of calls, I'm like, I want to take advantage of this. And I don't want to do anything. Like I just want to be in peace. And so a massage, I was like, that's right up my alley. Like I don't want to be around chaos and people and, you know, drinking. I'd just rather be laying in a cozy, warm bed and having my neck rubbed. So no, it was nice. It was nice. It's crazy to think that it's already July.
It is. It is crazy. Yeah. Well, and especially like if your job is a lot of like talking to people and like interacting with people, it's like when you have a day off, like you just want to like do the opposite, right? So I get it.
Exactly.
I get it where you're just like,
Exactly.
just yeah.
Yeah, let me just not talk for a day. Just
Mm-hmm.
a day. Yeah, exactly. I know that's like an extrovert's nightmare, but I feel like sometimes a lot of people too in the workforce that, talk on the phone constantly, a lot of them are introverts. And it fills their cup to a certain extent, but then it also starts draining it. So I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes you just kind of need that reboot. And I feel like I'm one of those people that gets a reboot from being around people, but also sometimes I get my reboot, my cup filled from just being by myself or with my partner or my family and just deep breaths and
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah. I'm definitely an ambivert for sure. And so like it's the same thing where it's like sometimes it's like being around people and sometimes it's being like alone or, with one person.
Say that word again. What's it called?
Ambivert.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's between if you're between, which I would say actually a lot of people are actually in between an extrovert and an introvert. You're because it's really gonna be a spectrum, I would say, just like everything
Yeah.
else. We're not black and white. Um, yeah, it's an ambivert. But
Wow, I've never heard that term. And it makes complete sense because I feel like so many times you're explaining extrovert or introvert as in like you have to be super far one way or super far the other. And it's like, no, it's like the independent party of introverts and extroverts, an ambivert.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
I really like that. I'm going to have to start utilizing that. I had no idea that even existed. You learn something new every day.
I know, isn't that great? Yeah.
So
Well, and
cool.
I'm definitely not like I'm an ambivert that doesn't like I don't like crowds. Like I like being able to talk to people like in like a smaller group. So like, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Yeah, it's like that social meter. Like I feel like my cup's filled, like we were talking about, when it's like the right setting. But when it's like crowds, like Disneyland for me,
No.
it's
Yeah.
not my place. I hate to say that to being like owning a, childcare service like that. I do not like Disneyland. I love Disney, don't get me wrong, but going there and seeing people go there as like a vacation, I'm like, I would need a vacation after that.
Yes.
Because that does not feel like a vacation. Like that feels like I would get back after 2 hours and be panicking because I am so claustrophobic with kids and parents and craziness and sounds and rides and lights. It just sounds like too much. Like
Yeah.
that is a nightmare in my book, for me personally. So I'm always like, I feel like I'm kind of introverted, but then I love talking to people in, smaller settings. So am I extroverted? No, it's just the middle. I love that.
Yep, you're an ambivert. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, welcome to the club. Thanks for having me in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. I'm gonna have to tell my sister about that. We're always talking about like what fills our cup, and we're always like utilizing words to describe like the things that fill our cup and like our characteristics and personalities. And I'll have to tell her about that. I think she'll think that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, I like t from your own words, for you to tell my audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Carson Wagner. I am the founder of Lifetime of Love Nannies. And I founded Lifetime of Love Nannies back in 2019 here in good old Reno, Nevada. I was 19 years old when I started my company. I did not know a stinking thing about business or managing others or myself or anything in between. And I just saw a really large need in my community for all inclusive, accepting childcare and options for all children of all capabilities, paired with a 24/7 service that was 100% customizable for families in our area. And so I did that. That's been about 5.5 years ago. And now we have multiple locations. We're growing, helping families and kiddos. We're state funded for special needs families to take the financial burden off of them because that is the last thing we want them worrying about. And it's just been an awesome journey. So I'm super excited to chat with you, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Um, 19, that's ambitious. Like what made you like obviously you saw the need, but like what made you like be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take this giant leap at such a young age?"
Yeah, that's a great question. I was, like any 19, I shouldn't say any, but most 19-year-olds, didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to find a career that I was passionate about, and I felt like I had a field which was children with special needs at the time that I was really passionate about. That was one of my first jobs in high school. And I was doing behavioral therapy for kids with autism in home when I was going to college. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like I said, I was just taking different classes, like trying to figure out, what really lit me up inside, as far as, a degree went, and, that next step for my career path and adulting. And I just realized there was a huge need when I was doing behavioral therapy, and a behavioral tech for kiddos. I would have parents that would come to me and be like, "Hey, after the session, can you stay and watch my kid? I've just got to run to the grocery store, or I have a hair appointment, or I have a doctor's appointment." And I was just like, gosh, like, are there any services out here that know how to help kids with feeding tubes, or help kids with cerebral palsy, or like where autism, Down syndrome, like where exactly are these people finding resources? Like any, typical child, like there's tons of resources out there, but what about, resources for those that, really need the extra support, like a village? And I just wasn't really finding much. And so I saw that there was a lot of state funding options available, but there weren't any agencies that were dipping into it in my area
Mhm.
specifically. And so I also I should mention, Reno's a 24/7 city. We are like a little mini Vegas. So we also at the time, and I think still, didn't have any 24/7 childcare options. Like all of them were like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm like, how in the world are these people that are working like swing shifts or like nurses or doctors or casino workers? Like, how is anybody getting childcare? Like, this is craziness. And so the more that I just started digging and finding such a lack of resources in a growing community, that's when I dropped out. I started Lifetime of Love Nannies, and I just really wanted it to be accepting to all children of all capabilities, and then also a 24/7 resource that was customizable to families, because those were really like the two needs that I really saw and wanted to fill that gap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I can imagine like places where you do have a lot of shift workers, people working graveyard shifts, you have casinos there obviously and like things that are open 24 hours. Yeah, that like I imagine, yeah, a lot of places where people are working those kind of shifts, it's hard to find childcare. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We had a daycare that was open, and it was 24/7, but they had shut down, and so nothing had reopened after that. And in terms of like a childcare facility, because I have looked into that like a year or two ago, opening a childcare facility. There's just so many regulations and craziness when it comes to that. So a huge props to anyone that has conquered that feat, because it really is a lot of licensing requirements. But I mean, just to get the licensing for a 24/7 childcare facility, it is very, very, very difficult and a lot of hurdles and just a big process. And so that was one of the great things about, starting my nanny agency is there were not a ton of regulations at all in terms of hours I can be operating or caring for children. There was no stipulation on that, which was really nice and really allowed us to, have that customizable aspect to our service that so many families need. There's just a huge need for it, and not just in Reno or Nevada. I mean, it's really everywhere.
Hmm. Yeah, I think probably nationwide, a lot of these, resources for, children with special needs and also people that are just working not typical hours, um, resources are limited for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. And, one of the things when I first started, the big focus was on special needs and special education. But, it was more so over time that I just realized, like, I just want to be accepting to all. Like, we want to do newborns all the way up to seniors. Like, we want to be the Johnson and Johnson brand of family services, and in-home services, because I had someone who's really wise in business tell me, hey, you've already gained the trust from these families caring for the most precious things in their whole entire life, their children. They already are trusting you. So they probably don't want to go and look for another place to trust if you can just meet all of those needs since you're already in their home. And so that's when we started doing pet care. That's when we started doing companion care, and just really trying to be that full spectrum of support from beginning to end of life.
Hmm.
Um, and, just diversifying over the years, my business, and just seeing, the needs. I think that's one of the coolest things about business is we just don't even know what needs are out there. And it's like the market, the people, the community tell us, hey, this is what I need. I mean, we've had so many times that families have called and been like, hey, do you offer this? And we're like, yeah, we can offer that, and it's just, I feel like that's the way that we've grown this whole time, is just families calling and giving us these ideas of, hey, we need this or we need that. And we're like, like that would totally be an easy add-on. That totally makes sense to add that service on, because our current clients right now probably all need that. So yeah, it's really been cool to diversify and just, kind of hit different aspects of, support that families are needing. in home. Yeah, it's really been cool.
Yeah. It seems like you're kind of have hit like a spot where you have obviously enough um resources and staff to fulfill like what families are needing, but also like small enough that like you can pivot how you are needing to pivot, when a need is, something is needed. Um, have you thought like have you thought about how as it grows, like how to make it grow in a way where that will still be possible to be able to kind of change with what is needed?
I love that you said that because that's something that I've really been going back and forth with, honestly, the last year. Because I mean, we're in Reno, Tahoe, Truckee, Las Vegas. We've got a good location out there, Sacramento. And, running these 3 locations, and I have the best internal office team here, the best support I could have ever asked for. And, between us here in my corporate brick and mortar location in Reno, we do a great job of managing those 3 locations. But it kind of came to my attention of there's so many different cities that need this care, and we know we have such a special model, and we know what we do is, we do great work, and we take a lot of pride in our team and our screening and vetting and all the things we do to make sure the kids are in the best care, and we give the best experience, not just to the families but also to our employees. And I was just like, how in the world am I going to grow this at the scale that I want to grow it to when me and my team in here are the only ones overseeing all of these locations? It's a lot of work. Each location's a lot of work. And we want to make sure that we have the highest standards, and that our standards and our morals and values and core values don't waver the bigger we grow. And that was one of the things that scared me, because companies can grow too quickly. And we definitely grew too quickly in the beginning. And we're to a point now that we feel really good with our steady growth, and we're able to maintain it. And so I actually, I looked into lots of different options of do I grow my internal team? Do I grow my internal team to the point where we can withstand more locations? Do I do licensing agreements? What do I do here? And so I ended up going with the franchise model, and we are franchising Lifetime of Love Nannies. And the reason that I liked franchising the most, and why I think it fit my company the best, is because the model is great. And I think finding the right person, the right franchisee to run that location is so important, because we can find someone that has the same mission, vision, core values that we do, that can really treat that location with all of the TLC it needs, that, we just may not be able to do as well from afar. So we actually are moving forward with our first franchisee agreement in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's 2 phenomenal women. One is in the childcare, has been in the childcare field. She's a nanny herself. The other is in marketing and is a mother, and just total amazing women. And it really is just so, motivating and awesome to see that this vision that I have for my business, another group of people share and like care and love it the way I do. And like, it lights them up inside when they're talking about it. And we could the 3 of us could talk for hours about it. And so it really is, special to see that. So getting that first franchise was a really big accomplishment for us. And so now we're like, we've done this, we can do more, we want to do more. We know that, it's a needed service. People are always having babies, and people are always getting older. So, yeah, we really want to grow this as sustainably and ethically as possible, so we can really maintain our, our services and the quality of them.
Definitely. Um, I know we talked like when we kind of met like before, we kind of talked about like this, kind of like building community, like it takes a village kind of thing, like, and especially women's like mother's role in like like I guess what am I trying to say? Like finding others that will like care for her children like she does, like she needs like how do you I guess vet like people to be that for, families, part of the
Yeah,
village.
definitely. Part of the village. Yeah, no, it really does take a village. It really, really does. And I've seen so many families too in the areas that we serve that, they've moved here for a job, or, they just wanted to go somewhere new and different. And their parents, their family, their friends, they don't have their family and friends here. They're new to the area. They don't have anyone. And so it's such a blessing and so beautiful to see us be able to step into these families' home and truly be that village for them, because, they just really need that extra support. And as far as screening goes, so in our industry, typically nannies are 1099, which should not be the case. And so we W-2 all of our team internally. We hire everybody. We offer them healthcare benefits, all of the good things, because we want this to be viewed as a career, just because they're not working in a corporate office or corporate location. It's still extremely one of the most important, in my opinion, job duties out there, caring for children, teachers, nannies, anyone in the education field. And, it needs to be compensated as such. And so we really make it a mission to us to, have the best of the best people on our team and really be able to retain them, with those benefits and the things that we do to really show them that we appreciate them. And within that, we don't just hire anyone. We definitely want to find people that are passionate about childcare as a whole and really view this as a career for themselves, whether it's a, season in their life or a lifetime. And so we do a 10-tier screening process, which they undergo a background check, driving records, CPR, SIDS, first aid certification. We do a training orientation, references. The list goes on and on. It's on our website. I wish I could memorize every single step, but it's super in detail on the website if anyone wanted to look at that. But yeah, we do all of that screening just to ensure they're the best fit for our team. And, we tell families too, we don't take it lightly that we are representing, these nannies in our agency. We're representing them. And so we really want to represent people that we feel comfortable with. I want to make sure it's people that, for those in our office that do have children, would feel comfortable with, them going on a week-long vacation and leaving them with any one of our childcare providers or nannies. We want to make sure that they feel comfortable, because if they don't, then that person's not the right fit for our team. So yeah, we've really just it's taken a lot of years. I guess it's not a lot. It seems like a lot, 5.5, but it's taken quite a bit of years to, really grow our team. I think we're up to right around 100 nannies, and, just finding the right people and retaining them. And, we also offer full-time, part-time. We have a lot of nannies that come to us that are teachers and they're off during the summers. And so they're able to provide summertime care. We have lots of college students. We have lots of moms themselves, grandmas. We have those that have graduated with their early childhood development degrees. We really have a diverse team with different backgrounds to meet different families' needs.
Yeah. And do like people that you work with? Like, is it set up where like they're with like a family like long term kind of thing, or is it kind of like more of like as needed basis?
That's a great question. Yeah, so it's 100% customizable. So we have lots of families that will do full-time and part-time care, where they need like 20 to 40 hours a week for the next year, for example.
Mhm.
And then we have families that do newborn overnight care, where they just need 5 days a week from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Monday through Friday for the next 3 months of baby's newborn phase. And then we also have families that utilize us for just like occasional one-off date nights. What's really awesome about us is we have a super cool software where families can just log in. They can add in the different days and times that they want. They can really customize their schedule.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of families, like I said, that use the full-time care, and maybe, they don't need a Friday, but they need a Saturday instead. They can go in and they can edit that. And then there's lots of families that are like, hey, we don't need anything reoccurring. Kiddos are in daycare or in elementary school, but we want to go out on a date night twice a month. And so we really have options ranging from full-time care, 24/7 care, all the way to 2 hours a month of care. So it really, when I say customizable, it's so customizable. And one of the reasons being, I feel like I don't even know what I'm going to eat for lunch today. How can I expect families with children running around and work and responsibilities to know what they need, next week? So we just really want to be as customizable as possible. So it just takes off less of a stress for parents. And they know, like, hey, if we need this support, we will have access to it as long as we have a little bit of notice.
Yeah. Um, how do you like do you like the since you guys are like kind of all over the place, your staff is like in different places, working in different places. Do you have any like ways that you kind of bring people together as a culture, if you are not like in the same location and working same hours, like things like that? Do you have any um cult community building? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say honestly, since you make a really great point, because since we do not, we're not in a facility where everyone's together and we see each other and it's kumbaya every morning. Unfortunately, that's just not what we're able to offer. The work environments are the family's homes, they're not with us. So we can't, we can't see them every day. I sure wish we could because our team's great, but in Reno specifically, we'll do little events where we do we'll randomly say, hey, we're going to be offering lunch here at 12:30 p.m. for anyone that wants to come by, free lunch on us. And then, we'll have like 20 nannies show up, and, we'll all get together and just eat like a random lunch on a Wednesday. Or, you know, we'll um we've done like a yoga event before. We do lots of little random things. We do last year we did, since we're so close to Tahoe, we went ahead and we did like a family day where we had the nannies bring up their kids and their husbands and wives, and we did this super fun lake day. It was so much fun. I loved it. We'll probably do that again this year. And so we just do little things like that for the Reno team specifically, since they are so close. And then for Las Vegas, we actually just started talking to some of our Las Vegas team about having two of the nannies out there kind of manage like a budget that we allocate, and they get to pick, they know their area better than we do. So they get to pick, hey, this is the show, the circus event we want to go to, like Cirque du Soleil, or this is a super fun concert we all want to go to, or we want to go to dinner here or a movie here. So we are having them allocate that set budget and, plan something super fun for all of them out there. We did just fly out there gosh, what was that? Maybe a few months ago. And we did dinner with all of them. We also flew out some of our Vegas team in December to come to we throw a pretty big Christmas party out here. That's a lot of fun. And so we flew some of our Vegas team that had been with us for a while out here to Reno. We had them stay at the hotel. We went to brunch with them. We walked the river. So there's lots of different things that we've really tried to do to bring the communities together as far as Reno and Las Vegas. Sacramento just opened a few months ago, so we'll definitely have to be starting to do things here soon with Sacramento once the team grows a little bit bigger. But Las Vegas, yeah, we definitely try to make an effort to, do things that just show appreciation. And also the team's so cool. I always tell people, we'll get them together, and the next thing they've made a work bestie, a work best friend. And that's like just always the coolest thing to me, because it's so clear that like such like-minded individuals get together. They're bound to just have like such a cool community bonding experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like, it makes us so happy in the office when we see that they're hanging out or doing things together. Because community is something that's so needed, and we know that they, have a good friend because it's someone that's also on the team that's super awesome too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we try to do lots of different community events, and then we also do Nanny of the Month. So we do that every month. We, really try to give a lot of recognition where recognition's deserved to our team. And we just really try to do, whether it's recognition through us internally in the office, or if it is a recognition through the family and us sending it their way, or if it's a community event, no matter what it is, we really just try to at least be in contact with the nannies like every 2 weeks. We want them to feel like they also have a village themselves, not just the families, but them as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we're living in a time when a lot of people are more isolated, and like, as adults, it's definitely harder to like make friends. So, and like, work friends are often like one of the places that people make friends is at work, kind of thing. So it's like, um, yeah, that's why I was kind of curious about like if there are tools to like kind of build community despite the fact that, hours and location and, people are separate, kind of thing. Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah, it definitely is. I feel like once you graduate high school, it's a challenge. Like, where in the heck are you supposed to find friends? Where are you supposed to find like-minded people? I go through the same struggle myself. So, I mean, yeah, it's really challenging. It really is challenging. And the workplace totally is the spot most people find their friendships and their community. And so, yeah, we definitely want to make sure that our team can do so as well. But yeah, totally agree on the aspect of finding friends as an adult. I mean, where are you supposed to look? I feel like that should be another business. It's like, stop with the dating apps. Can we have like a friend finder? Can we have something that like helps us find good quality friends with like similar interests? I'm sure there's things out there, but
yeah. I mean, I think there's things like here and there, like, I mean, obviously there's like meetups and stuff like that. And then like, I don't know, I've seen like some other things where it's just like, you know, conversation, like dinner kind of things and stuff like that. But yeah, it is hard though. It is hard to make
it's
friends and
hard, and
make
it's
friendships.
intimidating too. Yeah, it's intimidating to, put yourself out there too. And, let's say there's one of those conversation dinners or something. That really is a lot of courage that it takes to sign up for something like that and to show up to it by yourself, not knowing what to expect.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, it's hard. It really is hard, especially for, our generation. There's so much social media and so many things are over the screen. And then, COVID happened, and I feel like it just kind of changed the way we communicate with each other. And I sure wish it could go back to a lot more in person, like genuine in person connections where it's not so attached to screens. That's totally a topic for a different day. But yeah, I just relate to finding the friends. And the reason I think I do is like when I started my business, especially, you know, I was hoping to find my friends in college and then I dropped out. And I had a really hard time in the beginning of me starting my business. You know, it took, gosh, I was working, I don't even know the number, probably like 80 something hours a week. When I first started my business, I mean, it could have been more. I really don't know. I was running off like 2 to 3 hours of sleep. And that was the first few years, like the first 2.5 years. And I just, you know, didn't really have any friends or community. And, you know, my business was my community. Like it was my everything. And I just didn't know where to meet people. And I remember it was probably like 2 years ago, I went online and I'm like, where do I find entrepreneur friends? Like, where do I find people? And I ended up joining an organization. It's called Entrepreneurs Organization. And I have met the coolest people ever. I feel like I have the best community that I've ever had in my whole entire life. And I'm like, now that I have this awesome community and this support system, I'm like, how the heck did I go without that? How did I go without that community? I feel like just as human beings, you know, we crave, like, our nature is to be in a pack. Like our nature is to be with others. You know, we're not meant to be by ourselves. And I just didn't realize how true that was until I found my community and I went, holy smokes, how have I been without community this whole time? I mean, it is depressing. And so, yeah, I just really feel for the younger generation and, you know, my generation on finding friends and like finding, you know, people that they relate to, because it is hard. It really is hard.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I think that it really does add to our mental health crisis that we're going through is like the lack of community because we're tribal. We're tribal, like humans are tribal and we need community, you know. And I
Yes.
think the lack of that has contributed to mental health issues in our country.
Hands down, hands down. Yeah. I mean, it's a problem. You know, it really is a problem. And like I said, I mean, I just never really realized how important community was until I had it. You know, I always feel like, you know, I don't need, you know, friends. Like I've got my family, I'm fine. I've got my business. But then it's like having that, I would give up so much to keep that community because you know, it's everything to me. It really is everything to me. I mean, I can't imagine going back to a point where I didn't have community because that really is not a fun mental place to be in. And I think to your point with mental health, we never really know how much something's impacting us until we end up having the opposite and
Mhm.
then look back and go, oh wow, like I was depressed or I was really anxious during that time. And we don't necessarily realize that until we're out of it. Like we don't realize how bad it truly was. And I
Mhm.
know that I didn't realize that I was, you know, super anxious all the time because my business was just, you know, it was everything to me. And especially in the beginning, you know, it was my whole entire identity. And thankfully, I've done a lot of self work to where I am someone outside of my business. It's a big part of me, but it's not all of me. But
Mhm.
I mean, in the beginning, I didn't know to think that or to work on that. And I think that, you know, with the mental health aspect, my anxiety was just through the roof. And I had no idea that I was feeling anxious. I just thought like, go, go, go. This is the way it is. Like, this is just the way it is. And
Mhm.
it's like, no, that's not the way it's supposed to be, like at all. And I think having community for me and having people to talk to that are like, Carson, you getting that lack of sleep, like, girl, that is not normal. Like, having people to talk to about that kind of stuff, I think, is so big, and why community is so important, because you don't realize that sometimes you're doing kind of, you know, for lack of a better word, like insane things until you tell someone, they're like, girl, like that's not very normal. That's not really healthy. You're not thriving right now. And so I think it's just important for, you to have the right community specifically. Because it really does make a world of difference.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like, if you had kept on that for like the five plus years, you definitely would have burned out. That trajectory was like unsustainable for sure.
I would have had my Britney Spears moment. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would have. And I think that, you know, just having the right community it really has made a world of difference. I mean, my business has grown since I've built my community. And not just, I think too, with business, and one of the things that I've learned is it's not just about like how much do you know about business and how many, talks and this and that do you go to, but I think it's also like my business to me is a canvas and I'm the paintbrush, and it's a form of art, and I can be as creative as I want in my business. It's my creative outlet and I love it. And I think viewing it like that has really helped me mentally, because it's something that I enjoy so much and I don't want that joy to be taken from me. And so just viewing it as something that I enjoy and a form of I can get my creativity out with this business. It's really a special thing. And I just I just love it. And I genuinely cannot imagine my life without this business and this path, because it's just opened so many doors of, helping other young women in business, and, just all of these different avenues that I would have never known to take. It's just opened all of these really cool doors. So yeah, no, it's been a really special journey. And it's helped me find myself, it's helped me find my community, and I feel like the more I grow as a person, the more my business is able to grow, because really, like, my business is, if I am healthy and happy and working on myself, like, my business is also going to be thriving, I've noticed. So yeah, I've just been trying to do a lot of like self growth and work, and doing everything I can to be the happiest me and the most, stable me, to have the most stable and happy business and most stable and happy employees and families. And, it just all trickles down.
Yeah, for sure. Before we continue, are you able to stay like a little bit after 12:30? I just
Totally.
respect
Totally.
your time. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
because I was like, we started a little late. I just want to respect your time, but I obviously, if you have to run, then we would wrap up. Um, yeah, being an entrepreneur, but also like having, a history, like being a caregiver. I feel like both of those paths often lend themselves to like you're always trying to like kind of give of yourself, because like, you know, a lot of times it's about like how can you be of service, kind of thing. And like it's definitely like very common to have burnout in those situations, in those careers. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is. And, I've definitely, like I said, you don't really, I need to stop saying this. That's another thing I'm trying to work on, is I will say you don't, but it's like, I don't know what you actually do or don't. Like, I know what I do or don't. So
Mhm.
I need to start referring to myself. That's just another thing I'm working on. There's so many funsies little things
Yeah.
that, we're working on as humans. But one of the things that I have noticed is when I I didn't realize how intensely, like, how would I put this? with burnout. I mean, one of the things I will mention is my business is 24/7, right?
Mhm.
And so that means our phone lines are 24/7. Did I have someone answering the phone lines 24/7 for me? No. I had people, a few years after I started the business helping answer 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But I was answering all of the phone lines for, gosh, how long was it? 5 years. Yeah. I was answering all of the phone lines for 5 years. Saturday, Sunday, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., every single day. And I just had gotten I mean, I would be asleep. My phone would ring. I would wake up. I had this routine where I would wake up and I would do like 10 jumping jacks, jump out of bed because I don't want to sound like I'm asleep. I want to sound ready to help. So I would jump out of bed, do 10 jumping jacks, and then, hi, this is Carson with Lifetime of Nannies. How can I help you? And I didn't think it was draining me at the time. I just thought, this is what it takes for my business to be successful. This is what it takes to, be an entrepreneur and to be a service my clients can count on and to be an employer my employees can count on. And I just did not understand the gratitude of what I was doing to my mental health and what I was doing to my body and my mind. And I didn't understand how unhealthy that was until about maybe like 8 or 9 months ago. Yeah, I'd say like around a year ago. I finally hired two phenomenal full-time people to take over the after hours. I just knew, like, hey, you know what, Carson? Like, I think it's time. I think it's time you stop doing this. And, I was trying to really focus on the business and not in it. And that was like really my last tie that I had to the business, as in like day to day. And I was like, I've got to let go of it. I let go of it and went, I mean, I like got a full night's rest of sleep. I would wake up kind of like in a panic. And I was like, why do I keep waking up in a panic? And I was like, oh, I'm waking up in a panic because for the last 5 years, every single day of my life, someone was calling me with a problem that I needed to fix. And, those calls at 5 a.m., those calls at 4 a.m., they're never, hey, I just wanted to call and say you guys rock. It's never those calls. It's, hey, my baby's sick. I need immediate care. Or, hey, I had a flat tire on my way to work. I need you guys to find someone to cover my shift, or I need a ride to work. Or, I mean, it was just constantly problems that needed fixing. And that was my job. And I took that seriously. But man, did it wear me out. And I just didn't even realize how much it wore me out until, I'm still kind of getting back into the swing of things now because I had just been doing that for so long that, I will like panic if my phone ringer's off. I'll be like, oh no, did I miss a call? Oh no. And then it's like, no, wait, like Victoria, Tony, like they've got this. They're on. They have the phone lines. Everything's okay. But I mean, it's still something that like was just so hardwired in my brain that like I will be going to sleep to chaos and I'll be waking up to chaos. And it was just the most unhealthy thing I could have possibly done. I mean, I'm definitely grateful for it because it got me to where my business is. And I definitely have a lot of grit. It proved that. But, I definitely can't imagine, if I had to go back 5 years and do it over again, I'd do it. But man, like it would be hard because it just was, it's a struggle, and I don't realize how much I put myself through as an entrepreneur and as a business owner to to get my business to where I want it to be, because I mean, it's a lot of sacrifice. And I feel like that's not just with entrepreneurship, but I think that's just with, where we want to be as humans in general. I mean, you gotta, high risk, high reward. That's kind of always been what I've followed. And I love taking risks to seek out those rewards. And, it was a risk for my mental health, but, it rewarded me an awesome company and, good work ethic, especially being younger and like still learning my work ethic in the beginning. So yeah, no, it's definitely been a journey. But no, that was just a great question. That's not really something I think about with the after hours. I think that I choose not to. And I think it's really important to talk about these things out loud, because not everything's picture perfect and easy and happy, and we're not just all frolicking through a lavender field. I sure wish I was. Sometimes it feels like I am, but that's just not the reality of it. So yeah, thanks for asking that question, bringing that up.
Well, yeah, I mean, from the outside, people would say like, your success of growing this business at like such a young age, and then be like, oh, she must have a perfect life, kind of thing. So it's like, it's good to acknowledge that, like, the struggles that everyone goes through at times in their lives when they're, um, also, like, as a young woman, as an entrepreneur, did you ever find like any difficulty, like people maybe not taking you seriously as like being a 19-year-old when you started this and stuff like that?
Yeah, most definitely. I would say I was more introverted when I was 19. I didn't have confidence in my abilities or like who I was. I mean, I just didn't, I was still learning who I was, my likes, my dislikes, like what is my style. I mean, I was just learning so many different things, and I was so confused. I like something one day and something the next. I'm just like, who the heck am I? And I not knowing who I was, I think also posed an insecurity of, you know, how are people going to take me seriously? Like, I can barely take myself seriously. How are others going to take me seriously? And, stepping into that role, the reason for me starting my business was not to be a authority figure. That was so not what I wanted. I just wanted to help people. And I just wanted to do something that I knew I was good at and give it to others. And, stepping into the role of being an employer and being, an authoritative figure and having to be someone that people come to for advice. I mean, that was a big switch for me, as it would be for any 19-year-old, and I was employing in the beginning people that were, and I still do, I shouldn't say in the beginning, but I was employing people that were, twice my age, and then having them refer to me as their employer. And I was always taught when I was younger, like, oh, respect people that are older than you and listen to them. And then I'm like, wait a minute, but now I'm asking them to listen to me. It was just a really weird, it was a really weird time and a really weird like mental switch for me. And then, also on the flip side, having families see that like I didn't have a degree in early childhood education. I didn't have children of my own. I didn't have any of that. I just had a passion and a purpose and, a lot of drive and grit to, make something happen and not much else. And so asking families to trust me with their most precious thing in this whole entire world, was really intimidating for me. And I didn't know what ageism was. I didn't even know that was a word. Someone told me it was when I was explaining to them what I was going through. But I just remember I had a family come in. He was a doctor, and he was sitting. I did in-person meetings at the time. I don't do those anymore, but I would have families come meet me in person at the office, discuss their needs. And he was like, so do you have kids? Do you have this? Do you have that? He's like, do you have a college degree? How old are you? Like, really hammering me on who I was. And I was like, no, I don't have a degree. He's like, well, you need to go back to school. Like, I'm not trusting you with my kids. You need to go back to school. And I just remember it was super early on in my career. And I remember him leaving, and I just like rolled in a ball and was devastated. I mean, I was devastated. I was just like, how? Like, I really thought this was going to work, just like so much self-doubt and like just not trusting in my abilities and realizing that I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that this is a failure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not everybody has to like me. That's why there's so many other services out there. You don't have to love our model, but there's going to be a model you love somewhere else, and that's okay. And I just didn't understand that at the time, or think like that at the time. And I just remember that was such a devastating point, but I think it was also it was such an important, it was such an important pivotal moment in my journey, because I just, I kept going, and I was like, you know what? That's okay. That's okay if he's not going to utilize us. And that's okay that he doesn't think I can do this. But like, I am going to prove this dude wrong. And I did. And I think that it was really liberating, when we started opening new locations and started growing and all these things started happening, to be like, wow, like, this idea in my head that I created, it's working. And, slowly but surely over the years, working on trusting my abilities, like, I have just realized, not everything is the end of the world. Like, I used to think, if this business is to shut down, I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh no. And that'd be devastating. I mean, knock on wood, that never happens. But, I think trusting in my abilities and realizing like, hey, like, I'm not starting from the beginning. I've learned so much from this business. I've learned so much from this journey. I can do this again. And it's not going to be as hard as it was in the beginning, because I have so much more tools and years of experience and hands-on learning that I can do this, and I think just like trusting my abilities and trusting that I can have creative outlets elsewhere, and I can create more creative outlets, and I can have more creative outlets in addition to this one. I think just realizing that I need to trust in my abilities versus putting trust solely in, a business or an entity. It's like, no, I need to trust in myself, and I need to trust in my journey, and I need to trust in my capabilities and understand that I am capable, and I think just having like that positive self-talk and truly like learning to believe that has really helped me a lot in my career, and just as a person. And I really think that my entrepreneurial journey, I wouldn't change it for the world, because I've learned so much about myself as a person through business. And I love business for that, because it's so much self-development and self-work. And, people will point out your flaws, and people will point out what you're doing wrong, what you could do better. And you need to have thick skin, and you need to learn that you're not for everybody, whether that's your business, whether that's you, no matter what that is, you're not for everyone. And that's okay. As long as you're kind to others and you ask for kindness back. I mean, it's okay. Like, not everybody has to love what you give. And for me, I thought, the worst thing ever was someone not liking my business, because I felt like that was a reflection of them not liking me.
Mm-hmm.
And, now it's just like, that's okay. It's okay. It's okay if they don't like me, and it's okay if they don't like my business, because they're going to find something out there. And like, our, quote unquote competition, they can meet needs that are maybe what this family's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And, just like supporting other businesses and supporting other people in the field and supporting other nanny agencies. I love connecting with other agencies, and I don't like to view it as this competitive competition, like arena. I think that it's mainly women in our industry, and I think it's really empowering to like be able to support and cheer on these awesome business owners. And there's so much that I can learn from them, and there's stuff that they can learn from me too, I hope. And yeah, I just kind of went on a rampage about all of that, but
Yeah, no, no, but like, I mean, it's true. Like, it's not like an easy industry. And so, like, why make it harder for each other, and tear each other down when, it's like, it's not easy to like, care for others, all the time and give of yourself all the
exactly,
time. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I always like to ask my guests, how do you define fun?
How do I define fun? Ooh, that's a good one. I think something that's fun. I think for me, fun is being able to be present. I feel like every time I've made a good core memory, all of my core memories are me in the present. They're never me future tripping in the past or in the future. I'm always in the present moment. And I feel like to me, that's so much fun because I'm able to, no matter what I'm doing, I'm able to truly be present. So I think to me, being present equals having fun.
Hmm. Really. Well, and like, yeah, when you are able to like find flow, it's like, oh, I feel so
Yes.
good. Like it's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, I find flow. To me, flow. It's funny because I was actually having this conversation with one of my guy friends when we were skiing, and it's kind of stuck with me. But I love skiing, and I find flow getting off the chairlift and just it's fresh powder and just floating and skiing and listening to such a jam, and just I'm floating in the trees. I mean, I am in flow. I am in my flow state when I'm skiing, and I think also when I'm working, I can get in a flow state of I am just kind of you're like cruising almost.
Hmm.
I love being in the flow state. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I also like to ask what people's play personalities are. According to the Institute of Play, there are 8 play personalities. The Joker, the kinesthetic, the competitor, the creative, explorer, storyteller, collector, and director.
Hmm.
And you can be more than one.
I would say the creative. I love being in my creative flow and coming up with new fun things. I would also say the competitor because I am so competitive, whether it is a card game, whether no matter what it is, I just love a good competition. I love a good fair competition. I grew up in sports all my life. So I love a good fair competition. And then there was one more that you said. Was it the director?
Yeah.
Tell me about that one.
Like you like to be the person that plans get-togethers and you like to, you kind of like you want to be the leader of things. I mean, obviously you are a leader, so like
Maybe not the director. Maybe not the director. I mean, I think in certain ways in my professional life, totally. I think in my personal life, no. I feel like I'm a much different person in my personal life. I don't like being in charge. Like, please, everybody, take all of the things from me, and I'll just go with it.
Mhm.
I do like to be in. I like to have a tab on the vacation we go on or whatnot. But I'm not really the big planner type when it comes to my personal life. But I would say you did say explore, and I love to explore. I love to go to new places, try new things to eat, meet new people. I feel like there's kind of like between those, I feel like there's a little bit of me in all of those.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Are there any places that you're wanting to check off your list of places to go?
I'd love to go to New Zealand. New Zealand's a really big one on my uh, list. I mean, New Zealand, Australia.
Mhm.
And then I really want to go to Ireland, which I should be going next year, actually. So that one should be checked off. But New Zealand is not on the books. It's quite a ways away. But I know one day I'll make it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, New Zealand, it feels daunting because it is like so far.
It's so far.
It's like a
So
whole nother world almost.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Very
I
welcome.
really appreciate you and this platform.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, where can the audience find you?
Yes, you can find me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the different things. I will have you drop maybe my socials.
Mhm.
And then Lifetime of Love Nannies can be found anywhere as well. And if you're interested in franchising Lifetime of Love, you can reach out to my email, carson@lifetimeoflovenannies.com.
All right. Thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Have a good rest of your day.